For a brief moment, the movie industry actually started to rebound, but it's taking a nosedive once again. Our sponsor, the House of Fairuza Barbershop and Cigar Lounge, has some big news coming up in tonight's show, and I have a couple of movies to tell you about that you're going to make sure you do not miss. Cinematic class is about to begin. Your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies, and tonight I have a veritable plethora of films to tell you about, some behind-the-scene news going on in Hollywood. I have some movies that I think you're really going to enjoy to tell you about tonight, and some big news from our sponsor, the House of Fairuza Barbershop and Cigar Lounge. So let me officially welcome you to this episode of Outtakes with Rex Reel. We'll be hearing from Rex a little bit later too. I told you I had a lot of good movies that I wanted to tell you about, so I think it's only appropriate that we start with the really bad one first and kind of get that out of the way. This movie is called Royal Jelly. Now, a few months ago, you may remember I did a review on an independent horror film that was called The Nest. I really liked this one. And I said at the time that it was probably one of the better horror insect movies I'd seen in a long time. Well, this one came out and it was patterned just like it. In fact, if you look at the two one-sheets for the movies, they look almost identical. Okay, that's how close it is. And I thought, well, geez, maybe this will be as good. Oh, my goodness, no. Folks, it didn't even come close. Reality reared its ugly head, and unfortunately, the promise of delectable delight in cinema quickly decomposed to some dreary doldrum on this one. It was a major disappointment, especially following on the heels of The Nest. Folks, this movie is not only bad in front of the camera, but all of those associated in the behind the camera, the technical aspects, they're also just as bad. Our main actors in this are Elizabeth McCoy. She plays Aster. She's our protagonist. And Sherry Latanzi plays Tressa. She is the woman who comes and takes Aster under her wing. The whole movie centers around bees. Aster is beguiled by bees, if you will, and it's Teresa who introduces her to a really bizarre family that runs itself like a beehive, and in that comes the elements of horror. This one just missed on all of the notes. And as always, when we talk about science fiction, fantasy, or horror movies, we turn to the expert advice of the nation's first and only prehistoric film critic, Rex Reel.
This movie is really bad. It assaults your ears with lame dialogue and assaults your eyes with choppy edits. There are numerous continuity holes. Truly excellent on celluloid.
Okay, so let's go from a totally abysmal movie to one that I think is most excellent. This movie is called Old Henry, and it features Tim Blake Nelson. Now, he has done a really consistent bevy of work throughout his career. Probably one of the most notable movies he was in was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And that was also a Fist of Fury award winner back in the day. And it was a movie that demonstrated adaptation and screenwriting so well that I often used it in my classes. In fact, I used it when I was teaching at Waynesburg University, and that's where our cameraman tonight, Nick, graduated from. So nice little ties there as we move along. Tim Blake Nelson is really a tour de force in this one, and I think you're really going to like it, especially if you like Westerns. He plays Old Henry, and Henry is just a simple farmer. He's lost his wife, so it's just he and his son living on a farm, and they just want, be left alone and just mellow out. But of course that doesn't happen. It never does. There's always somebody throwing a kibosh into the machine, right? So one day, nefarious no-goods come wandering onto his farmland, and then we have all kind of mishaps that ensue. And during the process, we discover that good old Henry, well, there may be a little bit more to him than meets the eye. Hey, there's a nice cast in this. Not only is Nelson in here playing Henry, but Gavin Lewis plays his son Wyatt. Curry, the man that they take in, is Scott Hazy. Ketchum is played by Stephen Dorff. He's our main antagonist, and his henchman is Al, who is played by Trace Atkins. Hey, behind the camera on this, we have Pazzi Ponceroli as the writer and director. He's done a great job putting this thing together. Our director of photography was John Matasiak. Our editor is Jamie Kirkpatrick, and the man who wrote the musical score is Jordan Lenning. I mention all of those because, folks, this movie is solid. It is solid for the actors in front of the camera, and it's just as solid for the technical crew behind. Even Lenning has done a great job in putting together the music for this. Everything is complete. It's just an amazingly good movie. It fits into a category that those who love comic books may call alternative history. But I think you're going to like this one. You're probably going to want to watch it more than once and add it to your video collection because it exemplifies excellence in film entertainment, and as such wins the coveted Fist of Fury Award for 2021. You're going to like this one. It's called Old Henry.
Listen to me. What's going to happen will happen quick.
You got a lot of fight for a farmer.
You have no idea the hailstorm you fixing to let loose.
Consider me properly warned. Where'd you come from?
Every place on earth but this.
Who are you, Paul?
So I want to tell you about House of Fairuza Barbershop and Cigar Lounge. On the last show, I told you about Sam, who had a pig roast event down at the shop, and it was a tremendous success. He's back again. Folks, this is, I'll tell you what, if you're a guy, this is the place you got to be, it really is. How about a steak fry? Okay, let me get all the details on this for you because I don't want to mess this up here. You're going to be able to come and get yourself a nice steak. Along with that steak dinner, there's going to be a glass of wine for you and all the fixings to go with the steak dinner. They're going to have live music from Evan Eggert. He's going to perform from 7 to 9. The House of Fairuza is located at the corner of South Park Road and Drake Road across from Ruthfred Market. And you got to see it now because they've closed down Drake Road for the next 4 months. So when you see all the signs, I can't turn down here. I gotta go into Sam's. This thing looks like an awful lot of fun. Dave Pulsakovich will be there too. He's going to be he's from Leaning House Cigars, and he'll be there to show all his wonderful wares off. It looks like it's going to be September 24th, and the whole event goes from 6 until 10 p.m. But there is a caveat. This event is so spectacular that it's actually reserved for members only. Well, Professor, you say, why tell us about it? because there's still time. You can go down and become a member, and then you can go to the steak fry. You need to give Preston a call down there. Let me get this number up here for you. It's 412-908-2767. Again, that's 412-908-2767. You want to talk to Preston. He runs the cigar lounge down there. Tell him about membership. Find out what all the benefits are, and they're great. You get your own locker, and it's just a good deal. It truly is. And once you're a member, you can go to the steak fry on September the 24th from 6 to 10 at House of Feruza Barbershop and Cigar Lounge. Let me give you that number one more time. Call Preston at 412-908-2767. Sounds like an awful lot of fun. Who would not want to be there? Okay, just good times all the way around. Hey, I told you at the beginning teaser that the movie industry was down and now it's coming back. A couple of things have come from this. You know, for a while there it looked like, well, okay, the COVID stuff is all over with. We're going to open things up and everybody's going to have a good time and we're going to get back to movies again. They got back to college football awfully quick, didn't they? But you know what? We can speculate all day on how these things changed and why they changed around. You had Dr. Fauci saying things that were completely opposite of what he said before. You had very damning emails and reports coming out. Play whatever politics you want, but somebody somewhere along the line as a group decided that we can't open up yet. There's too many variants. People are going to die. Let's all scream. And as a result, even after California Governor Gavin Newsom pumped $330 million into their film office, everything shut down again. I don't know what happened to that movie. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he's being recalled next week. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But, all the politics aside, they decided to shut things down. Nova Scotia is happy. Okay, can I tell you that? Nova Scotia doesn't have any shutdowns at all. They said, okay, we did enough of this. We're done. And there are movie companies flooding Nova Scotia. Now, they were flooding Australia. Have you seen what's happened in Australia? Oh, my God. I'm surprised the people there aren't jumping into the ocean to try to get away from that. And then they had that silly prime minister come out today and say on the morning news that, they were going to create a new world order. Oh, wow. Okay. So as a result, movie companies are tearing out of Australia. Emma Stone was in Australia filming when all this clampdown came on. I mean, you got to register on your phone and send pictures in so the government knows where you're at. Crazy stuff. She was given dispensation. She was allowed to finish the filming because they had already started. And people went bonkers. Can't say I blame them. How come she gets to do this? We're stuck in our... Everybody's out of Australia. They've lost millions of dollars in the film revenue. And now it's all shifting to Nova Scotia. So you'll see a lot of films from there. People named Bjorg in the film credits at the end. But anyway, that's what's happening. And then to make matters worse, the one box office that was consistently open was China. But now China has set up its own ministry to shut down films that it feels does not comply with the Chinese government ideology. So they can not only shut down current films, but they have the power to go into the past, review films that were already released, and shut those down as well. Now, many of you have heard that one already, but what you may not know is tied into that bill was a section where the Chinese government is denouncing anybody who has dual citizenship. Now, a lot of the stars and movie makers over in Hong Kong and China, they do have dual citizenship. And as a result, Nicholas Tsay, who I talked about in the last show, starring with Donnie Yen in a great movie called Raging Fire, he has had to come out and denounce his Canadian citizenship if he wants to continue making movies in China, which he does. Okay, so as a result, a lot of people are having to give up their dual citizenship because the Chinese government will not let them work there and that's odd in Nicholas's, he was born in Hong Kong, but when he was 3, his folks moved to Canada, and he was raised in Canada. So although he grew up there, he's got to turn his back on them and say, oh, tangled webs, folks, tangled webs. And I'll tell you something else that's a little bit of a tangled web. When this movie came out, I was, I got to tell you, I was a little bit skeptical about actually doing a review on it. And let me tell you why. It stars John Cena, and it's from the folks at Paramount. And, John Cena, for a while there, I was hanging out with some guys who were really into pro wrestling. And I kind of liked this character that Cena had on the pro wrestling circuit. He was kind of like a good guy, and he had a fun personality. That kind of changed when he went into the movies because he took on some roles that were really... Did you go and see The Suicide Squad? Oh my God, was that an absolutely horrendous movie? And his character in that was terrible. But yet they're still giving him a TV show. You go figure. I can't figure that out. In any event, just before he came out with this movie, he did what I thought would be a career-ending faux pas. In making a statement, he mentioned Taiwan as an independent country, and it upset the Chinese government. So he made this video, which went viral, where he apologized in Chinese to not only the Chinese government, but the Chinese people for actually referring to Taiwan as a country. And wow, talk about no spine. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm just done with this guy and I'm going to let it go. So I was kind of, but I found myself at home one night. I was kind of caught up on my screenings, and this was the only one hanging around. And I said, let me give it a view. Wow. Am I glad I did, folks? I got to tell you, this one made me laugh almost from the very beginning to the very end. Now, it follows a formula for comedy, but it still had me in stitches the way this thing plays out. It was a piece of celluloid that was created to cause cackling, and that it did. John Cena plays Ron in this. His wife is Kyla. She is played by Meredith Hanger. Marcus is played by Lil Ray Howery, and Emily is played by Yvonne Orji. Basically what you have here is a couple, that would be Marcus and Emily, who are on the very straight and narrow, and they go on this rather extravagant vacation. And at that point, Marcus plans to propose to Emily. Well, Murphy's Law comes around. Everything starts going wrong. They meet Ron and Kyla, and these two are like loose cannons. They're wild people, and they open up a whole new world, shall we say, for Marcus and Emily. Although the ladies are in this, pardon me, it's the men who really stand out, and they play it plays out like a buddy movie, if you will. Our director on this was Clay Tarver. Tarver also wrote this with Tom Millen and a whole host of others. I think that's what makes this so funny, because I think everybody contributed a joke somewhere along in the script, and so it's always fresh and always new. And our editor was Evan Henke, and he does a great job in causing this thing to move. Very, very adult, raw, and raucous humor. Even if your kids still like the John Cena wrestler persona, this is definitely not for them. I found this movie awfully funny. It's really quite good. I think you'll like it too. Vacation Friends.
Okay, look, we just gotta contain it. It's only happening because you said see you later.
I said it without meaning it like any decent person would. And somehow he's charming my dad.
Hope you're comfortable letting him force him. Oh, so there's at least one girl involved.
Everywhere they go,
Look at you, baby face little bitch!
chaos happens.
This weekend is all about you. Well, I like the sound of that.
We do too.
Jesus.
Good evening, everyone.
What is he doing up there?
Marcus and I crossed paths in Mexico. Get to know each other intimately. This is the best wedding I've ever been to. Put that bottle on your head.
Babe, he's not serious. We've been drinking.
Count it!
You hit the bottle this time.
What?
So I told you I had a lot of good movies to tell you about, and let's switch from comedy of Vacation Friends to some science fiction. This movie is called Zone 414, and it also is very excellent. I think it's something that you're definitely going to want to see. It stars Guy Pearce, and he does a great job in this. You know, his last few films, Guy's always been playing the bad guy. So as soon as he comes on screen, you go, oh, there he is. But in this one, he gets to play the protagonist for a change, and he does a really nice job. It's a sci-fi flick, but it's kind of set in a noir, almost Pulp Fiction type genre, if you will. It borrows a whole lot from Blade Runner, iRobot, and Android, if you remember those movies. Well, like I said, a solid performance by Guy Pearce. Zone 414 is an area of the city where humans can interact with robots. It's the only place where they can. And usually it's not a very, shall we say, equitable type of interaction on this. As the man who created the city says, he has created a city with all of the grime and none of the crime. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you and I both know if you have enough grime, crime's going to find its way in there, and it does. And that's when they call in David, who is Guy Pearce in this movie. We have a missing daughter, and we have a robot stalker. It's an awful lot of fun. Starring with Pearce is Matilda Lutz, Jonathan Eris, and Colin Salmon. Behind the scenes, we have Andrew Baird. You probably recognize that name. He worked a lot with Roger Corman. Our writer was Brian Hill. Director of photography is James Mather. He's done a nice job and making this movie look gritty and grimy. And our editor is Tony Cranstoun. The ending seems a little bit rushed, but other than that, it's very nicely paced. For music, if you like electric music, Ben Stefanski does the music. Most people don't know him by his real name, but they know him as Rafferty. He might say Rafferty, I don't know. But apparently he's big on the electric music dance scene, and he's the guy that does the music for it. It's good. It's really good. This is a really good sci-fi movie. I enjoyed watching this one. I think you will too. You know, most science fiction movies have an underlining comment on society, and this one is the perversions of the elite. Lord, don't we read about those every day? This is a goodie. You'll like it. It's called Zone 414.
Trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Hello, Jane.
Someone wants to kill me.
Someone's been stalking Jane.
I appreciate the fact that Jane is your tour guide. Don't trust her. Vit is paying you to find the girl. Find the girl. Get your money and leave.
You look, but you do not see.
They can feel pain, you know. In their own way. They scream.
I said don't move!
You have a murderer in the zone.
Stay right there.
What's more human than fear?
Say, let's turn our attention now to the streamers and what they have to offer this month. Netflix is featuring Sweet Girl with Jason Momoa. I like Jason a lot, but this movie could have been a lot better. Basically what you have here is a pretty average thriller. There is a nice little twist at the end, which will keep you off your feet a bit. And one good thing for people at our home office here, it was shot in Pittsburgh. So there are an awful lot of scenes and places that you'll recognize right handily, and that always makes the movie a little bit more interesting. Here's a look at Sweet Girl.
What are you planning to do?
You have no idea what you're getting into.
I just need to make sense of this.
I know you're fighting for us. But this is my fight, too.
You knew going after powerful people was a dangerous business.
As long as we're together, we're still a family.
Folks, if you subscribe to Disney Plus, you're getting ripped off this month. They're offering you Jungle Cruise. That's not bad. The Rock, playing The Rock. Good for the family. But they're also giving you Cruella and Black Widow. Garbage movies. Wow, talk about wasting your money. Sorry. And HBO Max, or HBO Plus Max, whatever they're known as now, is doing the same thing. They're offering you Let Him Go with Kevin Costner. Absolutely horrible movie. Don't even waste your time. They're also offering a movie called Reminiscence with Hugh Jackman. You know, I watched this one with high anticipation. And I think that somewhere in the pages of that 180-page script, there may have been a story worth telling. But they certainly didn't do it in the way they told this. Oh my God, does this meander? It's slow, it's boring. Get yourself something else to do while you're watching it. I'm surprised Jackman even did it. It's called Reminiscence.
Some people began looking back. Nothing is more addictive than the past.
No, put me back. Put me back.
I understand. She's moved on, and you should too.
People don't just vanish.
To find where she'd gone, I had to know where she'd been. Was she running from the past? Or racing back towards it?
How much did you really know her? How much did you know?
Who was she? Who was she but not with me?
You think you want answers? Well, you don't.
Where is she?
Where is she?
Arson, bribery, murder.
People love their secrets.
Don't go down this path. Stay here, in this life.
I've turned a blind eye to plenty. I have to do this.
That machine of yours, how close can you get before the illusion's broken?
You're going on a journey. All you have to do is follow my voice.
I'd like to talk more movies with you, but we're fresh out of time. Got to run here, folks. We are heading into Halloween season, and as a result, there will be a veritable plethora of horror films coming up for you on the next episode of Outtakes with Rex Reel. We're doing rather strong on Rumble. I don't know what a Rumble is, but whatever it is, we're getting a lot of them. I guess that's a good thing. I don't know. We're all over social media, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, MeWe, Parler. Be sure and check us out. And coming soon, the Rex Reel podcast. Start saving your pennies. Now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.